Awesome. What's up, everybody? It's BallietBran. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. Today, we've got a stream with myself and Glenn again, Glenn Carlson. It's called Wealth Consciousness for Hexicans with Glenn Carlson and BallietBran. I trust and hope that everyone's going to get a lot of value out of this. This is definitely one of those streams that you'll want to be taking some notes, pen and paper, because a lot of these things, they're applicable for each person individually. Okay, so without further ado, this is going to be about a 2-hour stream, 120 minutes. If anyone has any questions while we're going over certain sections, please do ask in the chat. But without further ado, let me do the Nagabo intro, and then we'll get right into it.
Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like, be sure to share, be sure to comment. Yeah. Say hey. Say hey, hey, woo! Hey, yeah! Say hey, woo! Say hey, yeah! Say hey, hey! Woo! Stake that hex, 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 stake that hex. Every time I look up, price went up. I go to the store, come back, price went up. Every time I look up, price went up. No matter what I do, price is still going up. Hell yeah. Ching, ching, motherfucker. Ching, ching. I am the book. Ching, ching, motherfucker. I just keep hitting jackpot after motherfucking jackpot. We still jackpot, bitch!
Thank you, Richard, for creating and founding the most amazing and disruptive financial technology cryptocurrency ever. Thank you, sir. And nice streams, Mr. BallietBran.
Awesome. So once again, thank you, everyone, for being here today. It's a beautiful Saturday here. So let me just say hello to everyone in the chat real quick before I bring on Glenn. And then once again, we'll get right into it. So completion fails. How's it going? Identity block. We got Dougie Peach, Marcavelli 23. It's lit, fam. It's super lit. Who else we got? Sir Hexalot. Nice to see you, my friend. He says, thanks as always for your hard work, brother. Space Case. I see some new people in here. So once again, much appreciated. Forever Young. I'm here to see what community is all about. Awesome. We'll definitely show you what it's about. Finbear and Bitfinesse says, I have 1,800 miles to drive. Great content. And then Crypto Gains Club. Okay, Glenn, give me a thumbs up in the background whenever you're good to go. Awesome. All right, guys and gals, without further ado, let's bring Glenn on. And once again, pen and paper ready, and let's listen to this beautiful content that we got planned for y'all today. How's it going, Glenn?
Hey, Bran. Hello, guys.
We got a wonderful stream for everyone. We've got the Wealth Consciousness for Hexicans with Glenn Carlson and BallietBran. How are you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. I want to say thanks to all you guys that I've never met you in person, but Bitfinesse and Finbear and all you guys, completion fails, that are always in there supporting the community. Just can't thank you guys enough, and it's nice to see you. So thanks for showing up. I think we got a great stream today. It's going to be really interesting. Hopefully, go ahead, Brad.
Oh, you're definitely right. I mean, you can have all the information in the world, but if people aren't willing to listen and apply it, then it's kind of irrelevant, right?
Yeah, and so we're going to be talking about wealth today, guys, because since money and wealth are such a powerful force in this world, it's really important to look at what your unique subconscious mind is doing in relationship to money, and what's your conscious mind relationship to wealth and money. And so we're gonna look really deeply into that today. And Bitfinesse, you're driving, so you can't take notes, but I encourage a lot of you guys to as we're talking about wealth and money and different things, it's going to trigger ideas in your mind as I'm talking, and I want you to write down the stuff that flows through your mind as you're doing this, because that's what it's all about, is identifying your own, perceptual basis in relation to wealth. And we're going to get really deep into it today and cover wealth and money from a lot of different angles. And it's going to be real fascinating. We're going to get deeper into the subconscious mind specifically. So should be fabulous.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. Like you mentioned, we really do have a great community, and it's awesome how we can all kind of collaborate with each other and keep growing together. We got Heinz Crypto that says, "I'm taking all the notes." So awesome. We've got a lot of people prepared.
Cool. Love it.
Well, cool. Do you want me to, shall we go over, the websites real quick and kind of talk a little bit more? Or should we cover
Sure.
that at the end, or?
If you want to, Bran, I do have
Okay.
a couple of websites just so you guys know get some sense of who I am. So if you want to bring them up, Bran, that's cool.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, because I think some of it, right? I mean, the thing that I wanted to share specifically has to do with the wealth and the thing that you're an expert at and have been kind of studying for decades. So let me just bring up one of Glenn's websites. If y'all want to get in contact with Glenn, you guys can hear more right here. So let me share the screen real quick here. The website is in the description. It's bestlivinglocations.com. And so yeah, Glenn, tell me a little bit, because I had paid for one of the readings. I think it was like $167. But do you want to explain real quick how that kind of like ties into some of the wealth, or just maybe they should just come here and be able to get in contact with you if they want to know a little bit more about some of your background and kind of skills that you're good at?
Well, I'm an expert at this thing called Astro Cartography, and what that means is the nature of the human psyche. There's a lot of stuff going on in there, and when a person moves from, like, let's say, New York to Sydney, Australia, you actually augment a different part of your consciousness. You literally, a different part of your subconscious mind emerges. And in relation to wealth, like if you live in it's complicated. You'd have to go to the website to look at it. But the main point is that when you live in different locations, you're accessing a different part of your own mind, your own psyche, and some of them are not so good. They're detrimental and harsh, and it's tough, and there's a lot of restriction. Other places like Venus or Jupiter energy, there are different places that facilitate business success. If you want to write a book, go live on a Mercury line, which I've done. If you want love, go live on a Venus line. If you want success, move to a Jupiter line where money can flourish well for you. And in this day and age, people move around a lot, but they don't really know where they're moving to. But astrocartography can very specifically pinpoint exactly how your experiences are going to unfold for yourself when you do move to a different location. And it's specifically important for us Hexicans because, suddenly you're wealthy and you could go live in Paris if you want, but maybe Paris is really a crappy place for you to actually be. Hey, my life is awesome. Hey, buddy. So it's really, really, really profound stuff, but it's way too much to explain in this short span. But there's my phone number. Call me. Just call. You guys can call me. We'll talk about it. But this, again, it's the most profound stuff I'm aware of, you guys. It really is amazing. It's life-changing content.
It's true. Yeah, I wanted to bring that up in just a second here because once again, it's important for hey, if people want to know more, they want to kind of expand kind of on the next step. I mean, I know that really helped me a lot too. So give me just a second. Let me share the email that we had, the presentation, and we'll get right into it. 1 second here. Okay, perfect. All right. So yeah, we got wealth consciousness for Hexicans. And Glenn, shall we kick it off?
Sure. Well, Bran and I have already done 3 streams, and the last 2 were called Crafting Your Future with Hex and Pulse, because that's what it's all about. And then our very last stream was around original thinking and sovereignty. And that just seems to me it's becoming increasingly important in this day and age, not to mention that you have a spiritual destiny. You're here for a reason, but if you're going to allow yourself to be subjugated into mediocrity by conditioning of forces outside yourself, that's not such a good thing. You're going to have a harder time. So again, our last stream was on original thinking and sovereignty. And I wanted to mention a couple of things for credibility here. In 1977, my very first speech in college speech class, my speech was called, it was on advanced thinking. I had been reading about advanced thinking, so I created a speech about it. It was awesome. So I've been doing this my whole adult life. And then in the early 90s, I started to really get into sovereignty. And I lived with a lady friend of mine in Portland, Oregon, and we used to go to sovereignty classes every Sunday. I think it was Sundays. And we learned all about the Federal Reserve Bank and the Federal Reserve Banking Act and the global elite and the control and manipulation that's been going on for centuries. And I remember literally, Bran, like in you guys, I think it was about 20 some years ago, in year 2000, I was telling people, look, because I'm a world traveler. That's what I like to do. I've been on the other side of the planet back 3 times by myself. So I know what that is.
That's cool.
And I like it. So I was telling other people 20 years ago, look, you guys should travel now because there could come a time when they close the border and you won't be able to travel. And it's already happening in various countries. You can't even travel because of the restrictions placed upon you. So I'm just mentioning this real quick because the whole idea of sovereignty is becoming increasingly important, So the idea is to use original thinking for yourself, push toward being truly sovereign for yourself, and then, of course, being financially independent and free. That's what's going to allow us to maximize our life and fulfill a higher destiny for ourselves, as well as, hopefully making the world a better place too. So that's kind of in a nutshell, why, me and Bran are doing this for you guys.
Well, it's true. And I appreciate you mentioning that, Glenn. And once again, it's important for the audience to understand, people's backgrounds and people's credibility and people's experience when they're talking about things like this. And when you mention, having traveled the world, like you said, traveled around the world, pretty much 3 times, it's cool that you have the perspective that maybe someone like myself doesn't, that's only been to like Mexico outside of the US. Kind of like of wealth and of different countries and kind of different levels of like either poverty or things like that, right? Because I think we all kind of define wealth a little bit differently, but that's kind of what some of this stream is going to be about, is what does it mean for each person and kind of how can they benefit.
Yeah, we're going to look at the idea of wealth from a variety of angles. And we're not here to tell you what to think, but we're going to, personally, I hope to expand your possibilities of what wealth is and allow you to look at it from a lot of different ways, which is what we're going to be doing. And it's fabulous. And as far as wealthy, you hear people talking about, well, be authentic. That's a big word. People say be authentic. Well, being sovereign empowers your authenticity. It's a powerful concept when you think about it. And being sovereign, being able to think for yourself and to be free and having the wealth to do it, that can really help you fulfill your mission and purpose in this life, whatever it is, taking care of your family or going to live in Japan or whatever it is, inventing something perhaps, like Richard did. You have a very specific purpose and destiny as well. And being sovereign and authentic and then aligning yourself with keeping that wealth once you get it, that's one of the main keys. And I'm gonna be telling you some stories throughout this stream that is gonna really lock this in. So it should be a lot of fun. And I got some props for you guys. I got some props. You're gonna like this.
Awesome, man. No, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, this is always fun. And once again, kind of like you mentioned, I mean, someone like Richard, he's kind of built the foundation, right, of say a house with a solid foundation. It's super strong. But then there's things to be built on top of that, which is kind of different for each person, as you say, like what is wealth for each person, and then kind of setting up and things like that for their ideal scenarios. So let me scroll down here a little bit, and we can get into some of these bullet points if you want.
Cool. Well, sovereignty. I looked in the dictionary last time, and I came up with the dictionary says, well, sovereignty is about being self-governing and independent. Okay, and then I put my own 2 cents in the second bullet point, not being diminished by external authority. Okay, and being disciplined and responsible, thinking for yourself. Okay, and just this morning, I want to share this with you guys. It's right now the idea of sovereignty. It's a big deal on the world stage. The Canadians, as you know, there's hundreds and hundreds of massive trucks blocking the city of Ottawa because they're standing up for their sovereignty and their freedom. Okay, so I just came across a little thing that I had. This is one of my props, you guys. So let's get the ball rolling. I'm going to hold it up in front of the screen and I'll talk about it real quick.
Let me zoom it in real quick on you. 1 second here.
Okay, this is the Citizens Rule Book. Okay, let me see here. Right there. Okay, what this is, it's the jury handbook that contains the Constitution and the entire Bill of Rights. Okay, and as far as sovereign, I got a couple of things here I want to mention because it's pretty darn cool and it's really important in this day and age right now. So here it is, Article 1 of the Constitution, right? Says, Congress shall make no law prohibiting the right of free speech. Okay, and then it says, or abridging freedom of speech or the press. And here's the other one. It says Congress does not have the right. It does not have the right to abridge the right of people to peaceably assemble. Okay, like the Canadian truckers are doing. They have that right. Okay, but yet the governments are cracking down on them. That's not right. And then here's the last part that people don't aware of, because everybody knows the right of free speech. But here's the last part in Article 1. We have the right to petition the government for a redress of grievances, which are what the Canadian truckers are doing. They're being aggrieved, so they're addressing their right to the government to fix this. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff that the governments are doing that is just it's not lawful or legal or even right. Okay, so here's another one, and then I'll stop. But I just wanted to get you guys going on the idea of sovereignty, because it's really it's what we need to have in this world. So this is another one that I just happened to open up to it. I'm not going to get into it, but as you know, the Democrat ruled government in the United States are allowing well over 100,000 people a month into the country, and they're not citizens. And they're giving them the right to vote. And it says right here, Section 1, Article 26 of the Constitution, the right of citizens of the United States can vote. Okay, it doesn't say the right of non-citizens. Okay, so this is just two little examples, but we have the power to redress the government for our grievances, and we need to do that. So I'll stop now, but I just wanted to share that because it's powerful stuff. Really? That's what's going on in the world right now.
It's true, man. There's a certain point where yeah, like you mentioned, you can have all the wealth in the world and things like this, right? But if certain things are kind of closed down that kind of inhibit you from being able to be free or being able to access these things, then that's definitely you could have all the money in the world and you'd still be kind of oppressed and kind of screwed over. And so yeah, it's important to cut things off at the nip it at the bud as soon as you can before they get worse. So anyways, I appreciate you mentioning that. That's definitely part of kind of sovereignty and wealth. And did we cover all of these points here on
Well, not really, but my point is, if you have wealth, so let's say you have wealth now. So what is wealth going to make you a better person? Well, not necessarily. So you might want to think about, okay, what's the best, most inspiring version of myself, and then be that. Just do that, or at least move toward being the best inspiring version of yourself. And that means investing your energy and your time, educating yourself, instead of just spending your time, spending your money wastefully. It's just a mindset of investing your energy and your consciousness and your education and your money into making your future better, or at least the best you can be, but at least moving toward being better. And my version of wealth is actually being spiritually free as well as financially free. You might be a millionaire or a multimillionaire, but some people are actually kind of miserable, even though they're rich, or they're they got their weird little problems, and they're not, so what if they're rich? But it's also important from my point of view to be spiritually free. And we can't explain all that in this live stream, but we are going to talk about some near-death events. I had a near-death event. A couple people I know have been dead. So there's a spiritual essence of things. That's our source. That's where wealth actually comes from. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. And It's a whole lot of things, and we're going to be looking at wealth from a variety of angles. So I think it's going to be pretty exciting. So
It's
yeah,
true. You're right. I mean, death can definitely be quite the eye opener or the awakening, I guess, for people that like you mentioned, things can really, all disappear tomorrow. And, one of my best friends died when I was 18. And so, yeah, it makes you kind of ask those questions and wonder, like you mentioned, like, oh, what is wealth? Or you mentioned kind of like, hey, just because a lot of people might have a whole bunch of success financially, well, I mean, so did people like Robin Williams, but, still committed suicide. And so, um, not all of that is directly related, but yeah, you definitely want to kind of set up your future for success and kind of take notes down on questions that you ask yourself directly, because the answers are going to be different for each individual.
yes, sir. So I guess we can scroll down.
Okay, cool.
Not much else to say on that one. These
Let
are
me
things we've
let me
already these are things we've already covered in past streams, you guys. So we're going to just kind of move on here.
right,
And
right, 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 right. Okay. And yeah, once again, if anyone has any Inhuman Hex Trafficker, nice to see you, says got off twerk. Cool. If anyone has any questions, once again, please ask them in the chat and we'll get to them kind of once we're done covering the certain segments. So we got wealth consciousness here.
Okay, so wealth consciousness, really, what we're going to be talking about is the game theory of your own mind in relationship to money and wealth. And I'm pretty much an expert I'm masterful actually at deep meditation in the subconscious mind. I've been doing this, like I said, 45 years ago. I had a near-death event. I've been inside the mind of God. I've been doing meditation ever since. Been to India, been in caves, met the masters, taught consciousness classes. I'm an expert handwriting and analyst, blah, blah, blah. All this stuff is related to the game theory of your own mind in relationship to money and wealth. That's where we're really going to be going into deeper today. And so we're going to talk a lot about the subconscious mind, because that's where your whole mind emerges out of. And, this is nothing new. Back in 1977, I read my first book called The Inner Game of Tennis. And it talked about this inner game, so we're also in the inner game of money and wealth, like Serena Williams, tennis player, Roger Federer, world champion athletes. It's the inner game is where you win. So we're going to be talking about the inner game to money and wealth, and then secondarily mastering your own inner relationship with wealth, because that's what it's about. So I'm going to be mentioning a whole variety of things in relation to money and wealth, and I'm going to have props, and I'm going to show you some handwriting analysis stuff, and I'm going to talk about the unconscious mind and the source of being and a lot of stuff. So what I would like you guys to do, if you want to participate and have some fun, is when I mention stuff and it causes a thought in your mind or a specific feeling, I want you to write those down, because that's what this is about. It's about clarifying your personal inner relationship with money and wealth. And you'll see how valuable that really is by the time we get to the end of this stream. So the third bullet point here is money is just an exchange of energy. That's really what it is. But wealth is a state of being. So that's more where we're going to talk about. We're not going to talk about how many millions of dollars you got, or how, if you got $50, that's money. But wealth is a state of being. And we're going to learn how to play that game of wealth better, because that's what we all need to do. And I'm going to tell you some stories about how profound it is to be in touch with your own unconscious mind, because it can bring you wealth, but it can also take that wealth away. So it's important to look into this. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, and one thing I wanted to comment about, because you mentioned Serena Williams and some of these, super successful people, and I know you'll have a story later on kind of about the New York Broadway play type of deal. But when you say, mastering your own inner relationship, one thing that I also thought of was with bodybuilding, right? Arnold Schwarzenegger was definitely one of the top, right, of his game, if not, some of the best, some people would say. But one of the things that people would ask him and say, like, well, hey, what makes you different from all of the other guys? Because, they've got the same diet, they're doing the same routines and lifts as you. And he was kind of saying, like, his like mind muscle connection kind of just it was just a lot more engaged and a lot more focused. And once again, I think the more thought you give to something and the more that you kind of, reverse engineer, as we talk about, what you want from start to finish, then, the more success you'll most likely have.
Yeah, good point, Brand. We'll get into that thinking from the end in a little bit too, So I guess we could scroll to the next section, unless.
Let me see if anyone has any questions in the chat real quick before we cover this real quick here. 1 second. Let me zoom out just a smidge. Okay, perfect. All right, 1 second. Once again, thank you, Marcavelli, Human Hex Trafficker. We got George Taco. Let's see what else. That's about it for now. So once again, if anyone has any questions or anything to add in relation to this or anything else, please do so. All right, Glenn, I think we are ready.
Okay, next section, strong steps to inner wealth. Why is this important? And, because basically your mind is a co-participant with the universe, and together your mind and the universe have infinite organizing capacity in creating your reality. So you can set up your wealth to benefit you. You can set up your wealth so that it makes every other aspect of your life really good and fulfilling and enjoyable and having the way you want it. But again, your mind is a co-participant with the universe. So it's really important to know what's going on in your subconscious mind. And as we go through the stream today, I'm going to bring out a bunch of props and I'm going to demonstrate and show you the power of the subconscious mind and how it's going to affect your reality going forward. When because a lot of us haven't received the wealth from our hex stakes yet and this and that. So part 2 here, being wealthy. In order to flourish and maintain that wealth, it's really important and valuable to understand really clearly what your subconscious mind truly believes. Because as I'm going to explain here in a little while, there's a lot of aspects going on in the subconscious mind. Most people really just have no idea or very little idea. So basically, your core beliefs need to be aligned with being wealthy as your state of being. So you have to have it as a state of being wealthy, seeing wealth, feeling yourself wealthy and strong. It's literally a resonating state of being that emerges out of you. Okay. And we're going to also talk about learning how to think from the end. It's called, as Brand mentioned that. So you imagine it. Look, I've got the $2 million. I've got the $1 million in my bank account already. My hex stakes have already matured. The money is here, and you put yourself into that state of being that you're already there, even if you're not. You think from that point of view, and then you think backward toward the present. You have to imagine and visualize and think and feel that you're already wealthy. And, it becomes natural after a while. It becomes natural to think this way, and you have to resonate and feel, yeah, I'm wealthy now. Not thinking, well, gee, when I get the wealth, when I get the money, when my hex stakes do mature, it's a different way of thinking about your wealth. You already are wealthy. You already have it. That's thinking from the end, if that makes any sense. You want to add to that, Bran, or?
Well, I do. A lot of people think of wealth as just financial or, monetary value type of deal. But, I know you had shared a story with me about the guy I think in India or wherever the guy was. I guess it doesn't really matter, but had the one leg, was kind of, homeless and kind of had the little cardboard type of thing. But yeah, what is wealth to people? Some people might just think it's, once again, just financial, but hey, that guy's missing a damn leg, so like, hey, you can kind of think about some of these other perspectives of like, oh, hey, what do I actually have that maybe I should be a little bit more grateful for that other people don't have? Because just like as in the world, there's, a whole bunch of people that have it a lot better than you. Well, there's a whole bunch of people that have it a lot worse than you too, so it's kind of, I think it's important to at least recognize what you have already and be grateful for that kind of stuff. And then, then you can kind of work towards the next stuff that, excels that.
Yeah, you have to understand you're already wealthy and appreciate it now in the moment. And then the universe gives you more to be appreciative of. It gives you more wealth. So again, that's how your mind is a co-participant with the universe. Thank you. I'm grateful for my wealth. I am wealthy now. And the universe says, yeah, you are. And it just keeps giving you more, so thinking from that place that you are wealthy now is just basically essential to even get there. So, you know, Funkmaster. So I guess we could scroll down, Bran, unless you got something more.
Yeah, there is a couple of questions or a couple of comments that I think that maybe you and we can address that are relevant to these topics. So Bitfinesse, nice to see you. He says, when I listen to my unconscious mind, it whispers to me, "Shut up, keep going."
Well, that's because Bitfinesse is out there on the road with his 18-wheeler. That's what he's got to get to that. He's got a destination, man. He's got a purpose, you know.
That's damn straight, man.
That's
damn
funny
straight.
though.
And then Machiavelli has a question. He says, does this state of being transcend the mind and thinking a constant walking meditation?
Well, it kind of does. You know, Machiavelli, I'm talking about transcending the mind and thinking. We'll get more into that later on. That's dependent upon a lot of stuff, particularly brain speed and being in a deep state of meditation, which most people are not going to do or can't do. So that's where you transcend the mind and thinking, is in the state of theta, in a deeply meditative state. A constant walking meditation. Well, you know, the point about being wealthy is you have to get to the point where it just feels natural. You're not thinking about it so much. You just are wealthy. It resonates from within you. And I'm going to talk about how the inner source of all being comes to you as you, resonates through you, and then acts back upon itself. It's a resonance. It's not a thinking process so much. So we're going to get more into that. But good question, you guys. Love it.
Mm. Well, and it's so true. And before I scroll down, the thing that I'll say real quick is once again, like, I mean, just because people might not have achieved certain milestones and goals that they have, say financially, it doesn't mean you're not in the best freaking product in the world, right? Hex, PulseX, Pulse Chain,
absolutely,
to actually achieve that. I mean, once again, and I think this is so important what Glenn is mentioning about, because and Maddie was the first person that I'd heard talk about like sudden wealth syndrome and like, hey, now a lot of the people that were in early, you got a lot of money, but guess what? That lot of money can come with a lot of other stuff that you might not have planned for as well. So I think it's important that Glenn is talking about this, because once again, when for someone that's been here since day one and way before day one, almost 5 years ago since following Richard, you kind of realize that $100 to $1 million, 1,000 to 10 million, that's stuff that can happen in a blink of an eye, and it happened to happen in a year and a half. But are you prepared for that to happen in the next year and a half or something similar? Because if not, then you're definitely going to want to take notes and ask yourself these questions, so you are ahead of the curve.
Yes, sir. That's why we're doing this. You want to get your core beliefs and your mind and your feelings aligned with having that wealth, and not only that, but being able to keep it and maintain it. Because when you get wealthy, and I know wealthy people, and a lot of times what happens is you have to defend it, you got to protect it, you got to fight for it, you got to look after it, and so there's a difference between accumulating possessions and being wealthy. It's a totally different world. So we know that wealth is coming with Hex and Pulse and PulseX. There's no doubt about it. It's the greatest thing that's ever happened in the world of financial wealth. But again, we have to get our core beliefs aligned with that now. We have to understand the patterns really in our subconscious mind. And later on in this stream, you guys, I'm going to show you some examples of the subconscious mind through handwriting analysis. And it's going to be some brilliant examples of how diverse the stuff in people's subconscious mind is. And you're going to have to start to think for yourself, well, gee whiz, what do I really believe? What really, what do I really expect when I have wealth? And how can you set up your life in advance so that it maximizes your life experience rather than causes kind of turmoil and trouble? And we're gonna be going deep into this in the stream, and should be fascinating.
I agree. And then before I do scroll down, because I want to address the chat. So thanks again, everyone, for participating and being here. Hope everyone's taking notes. And Heinz Crypto says, this information is so valuable. So I'm glad you're getting something out of this, Heinz. We're doing this for, not only educating ourselves and becoming better teachers, but once again, the community, because, when you have a community of a whole bunch of people, you can do a lot of things when everyone's kind of on a similar track, or everyone kind of knows where they want to go. So I just wanted to say thank you, Heinz, for that comment. And let me keep scrolling down. Okay.
Cool. Okay, so the subsection topic is why understanding your subconscious mind patterns and using your mind effectively is crucial. Now, right now, I'm going to give you guys 3 quick stories to elucidate why. And I'm 64 years old. I already been around the block, so I got a lot of experience in these different realms. So here's some stories I'm going to tell you, which will clarify why it's important to really understand your own subconscious mind patterns. So 1999, let's say, I would get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and I would visualize $100,000 dropping into my checkbook. So I had my checkbook there and it had little wings on it, and then the sun was shining, and $100,000 every morning. I visualize $100,000 coming into my checkbook, right? Kind of crazy. But here's the thing. About 3-4 months later, I get a letter in the mail. Somebody dumped $100,000 into my bank account. It was mine. I had $100,000 in my bank account, just like I had visualized for 3 months in advance. Okay. Now here's the tricky part. I thought, well, where did this come from? So I tried to track it down, and I found out there was another guy named Glenn Carlson who had recently retired, and he transferred $100,000 into the bank, and it went into my bank account as Glenn Carlson instead of him as Glenn Carlson. So here's $100,000 that I visualized. Okay. But in the end, I didn't get to keep it. My subconscious mind was not ready to have that money. Okay. So the guy was a retired guy. It was his 100,000. I couldn't do it. I could have kept the money. I couldn't do it. So I went and I give the money back. Okay. So I didn't get it. Okay. This is an example of the unconscious mind in operation, you guys. So pay attention. So the next story was 5 years later. I'd get up every morning, 4 a.m, and I would visualize $1 million dropping out of the blue into my lap, because we have that aspect in our collective unconscious. Well, things can come out of the blue. So I did that. I visualized $1 million dropping out of the blue into my lap, and then it would overflow into these baskets, because that's another thing. You got to have baskets to catch the money. That's another. So all these things are about consciousness of being humans. So here's what happened. I did it. 4 months later, I manifested a really large amount of money right into my bank account, tax-free, out of the blue, and I got to keep the money. It was a pretty good chunk. Okay. So I traveled to Costa Rica, and I did a bunch of cool stuff with wealthy women, and I lived in several different states. But here's the thing. I spent that money in 2 years, and I ended up worse off than I was when I started. You've all heard this story before. But I'm here to tell you it's very real. And, it's easy to think, well, I got this under control. When the money comes in, no problem for me, man. I'm smart. I can handle this, no sweat. But you really don't know what's in your unconscious mind unless you really get in there and resolve it. And again, like I said, aligning your core beliefs with that, which is and there's 8 human qualities I'm going to talk about that are going to help you understand what's actually going in your mind. So here's the thing. Part 3. Okay, so the first part, I had the 100,000. I didn't get to keep it. I wasn't ready for it. The second part, large amount of money, spent that in 2 years, worse off than I was. But I visualized these out of the blue, and they just came to me, right? Out of the true story. Now, so 5 years later, started about a year and a half ago, I started visualizing, okay, I want to be a millionaire, and I would visualize that. And I really need to be a millionaire, because I recognize, for crying out loud, $1 million doesn't go very far these days. So multimillionaire, it took me, I don't know, 9 months or so working toward it, and, success and failure. And then I came across Richard and Hex. Boom. Inside of a month, I had a bunch of Hex staked. Okay. So I'm keeping that money this time. The money's mine now, because I've evolved. So that multi-million dollars that's coming down the pike, I'm going to keep that stuff, because I feel like I've aligned my values and I've got enough understanding of my subconscious mind so that I'm going to keep it. So I tell you these stories because, some of you guys are younger and maybe a few older, but, it's important to understand what's going on in your own personal relationship with money and wealth. So the stuff, understanding your subconscious mind, like the bullet points say, it's going to help you be more effective dealing with your money. It's going to help you consciously support your ongoing changes. It's going to help you avoid mistakes, confusion, unnecessary suffering. So if you got some weird belief that says, well, I can have money, but eventually I'm just going to spend it or lose it, or I'll get married and she'll take it from me. If you've got any kind of these beliefs going on in your mind, that stuff's going to happen. Okay. But so understanding your own self on deeper levels helps you to avoid these kind of things, so you can move toward a higher and a better quality of life, because that's why you're here. And it goes by quick. It goes by fast, so you want to live the best life you can now while you got a chance, and go for it. Be the most inspiring person you can be for other people. It's not just about you. It's about how can you inspire other people as well. And so you got to clean up your own nest, because you're going to find out, well, maybe I got a few things in here that aren't really helping me. Maybe I don't, I don't take care of myself well enough. I don't communicate like I should. I don't do this, you got some issues you've been dragging around from the past. You got to clean that stuff up. Don't look for anybody else to save you. You got to be your own hero. Now's the time, because the money's coming, and that's really going to help you to live that better life. So what do you have to let go of? What are you doing that, you're overweight, maybe, that's something you got to let go of, get your act together. Maybe you don't spend enough time with your children, or you haven't learned how to communicate with your little daughter or something. There's elements of stuff you have to let go of if you want to reach that higher perspective of life and that greater fulfillment. And wealth is going to help you do that. Hex and Pulse and Pulse X, man, you're going to have a lot of options. So it's better to get your mind clear now before the stuff hits, because then it starts to really, it's already a done deal. Anyway, I'm kind of rattling here. What do you think, Bran?
Well, I think you bring up a lot of good topics and points, right? One of them that you said was about health, and it's interesting because when Richard first created Hex, obviously he didn't intend on it being fun or cool or all of these other things that it's been. But I was listening to, who was it? I think it was like Hexagon 720 on freedomtv.info, but he had mentioned he was thinking about, he's an onboard from one of Freddie Quotes' friends, but he had mentioned that he was thinking about like his 15-year stakes. And anyways, he was thinking towards the future and like, oh man, what am I, like you mentioned, kind of like, what do I need to let go of today? And I mean, he said he had lost like 50 pounds within the past 9 months. And anyways, I think that that's pretty cool because like you mentioned, you can have one thing and not have the other. So it's kind of like a balance, and having, equilibrium in all of those things, I think is super important for, a satisfying life.
Yeah. And I see Bitfinesse chipped in the chat saying, let it go, because it's really important. There is a lot of stuff in our mind that we've been dragging around since childhood, and most of it is unconscious. And what happens, it just emerges up into our conscious mind. Half the time we're not even aware of it, and it produces events out ahead of us, and it just happens for us. Okay. So it's really important to, craft your future, know where you're going, but also realize, look, what do I have to let go of so I can be the best me I can be? It's like a two-way street there, really important stuff. So thanks, Bitfinesse.
Well, it's true. And it really is, like you mentioned, Glenn, kind of just similar to, as we all know with Hex, like that marshmallow experiment where it's like, yeah, do you want the marshmallow right now, or do you want other stuff in the future that is more rewarding and gratifying, and kind of doing the thing that's hard today for, once again, a better tomorrow and better result. Let me just cover real quick. There was a couple of things in the chat that were relevant. So I want to kind of go over that right now. Give me just 1 second here. Let me keep scrolling up real quick. I do want to say welcome Sensei Dozy. Nice to see you, my friend. Let me just see real quick here. So Heinz Crypto says, I get great value out of every stream you do. You guys are the reason I even started making content. Keep it up. So once again, I didn't know, what a beautiful thing we have in this community. And, same thing, Pulse Chain, Pulse X, that there's so many people providing value, creating, content and videos that can help other people. So didn't know that until just now. Definitely go give Heinz Crypto a subscribe.
Thanks, Heinz.
A little bell icon as well. My life is awesome. Lit. Hope you're doing well, bro. Trust all is good. Says Glenn equals legend. So
Hey,
gotta
Lit,
love that.
Lit, I saw your live stream with Gary. That was pretty fun. And you were grinning from ear to ear, man. That was a lot of fun.
That is true, man. Once again, it's awesome, man. The product is one thing, but honestly, the community is another. And I think honestly, for me at least, obviously everyone kind of has their own thing, which has maybe impacted them more than others, but the community has really just impacted me a lot. So yeah, funding Jim and my life is awesome. Absolutely great people. That was an awesome interview. Marcavelli. Oh, sorry. What did you want to say?
Well, I was going to just make a comment off of what Lit had just said too. Just an idea that popped in my mind. But to receive your money and then maintain your wealth, it's a good idea because Lit's a power coach and he talks about this stuff, and all the streamers in the community talk about, okay, how are you going to make your life better with this stuff? One of the things you want to do to maintain your wealth is to structure your life in as many ways as possible so that you can make that success as certain as possible. Okay. So you got to think about this stuff. It's not just going to happen, and your unconscious mind is going to come up with crap, and there's going to be obstacles, and your spirit is going to put little blocks in your way just for you to overcome them. Naturally, that's just how it works. The nature of the psyche is always flowing and moving, and there's a lot of stuff going on. And it's material cycles and spiritual cycles, material cycles, spiritual cycles. As the consciousness of your humanness, of your human psyche goes forward. Okay. So the thing to do to maintain your wealth, and even to make sure you get it, is to set your life up in as many ways as possible, so you make that success as certain as possible. So you got to put some attention into this stuff. It's doable, but it does require discipline, and it does require responsibility, and it does take some original thinking. You can't be just allowing your mind, the conditioned mediocrity. You can't let that stuff come into you. You have to be a sovereign individual to maintain your wealth. And again, setting up your life to be as successful as possible and as certain as possible. It's a really good idea. And if you can take the thing that's hardest for you to do, the thing that would make your life the best you could do, and push toward that and work toward that, your life is going to turn out better than if you do anything else, money or not money. Yeah. So anyway, I'm rattling.
Well, I don't think rattling at all. I mean, I think speaking very good points. I mean, Richard talks about that in either Fix the World or Sci-Vibe, because I was just reading both the other day. But yeah, if you have something, do the hardest accomplishment first, right? The hardest task first, and then kind of do the other stuff, right? Because everything else will be downhill from there. So I definitely agree with that mentality. Marcavelli. So once again, I'll cover the comments real quick, and then we'll kind of get back into the rest of it. So Marcavelli says, be your own hero, be the lead role in your own blockbuster movie. And then he says, manifesting wealth with the little hearts there. What else we got here? One second. A few more comments here. So Seeker 3589 says, a very important aspect of this is accepting the reality that you deserve to have financial success and be wealthy. And yeah, once again, wealthy in all different areas, and aspects of life. So
let me jump in real quick. Hey, Seeker, at the end of this stream, we're going to talk about, not only do you have to allow it, you got to deserve it. You got to feel worth it, and you got to accept it. I have something at the end that goes way into it's more than just deserving. There's a bunch of stuff in the subconscious mind. First of all, you got to accept it, and anyway, what you said is exactly right. You have to deserve it. And there's more to it. So hang in there. Toward the end of the stream, we're going to get even more into that.
Awesome. No, I appreciate that. Once again, I like that we do this monthly. And once again, we might have a part 2 coming out, not too distant future as well. But it's awesome how much there is to cover and how it does impact so many different things. So he says, Glenn knows his stuff. And what else we got here? 1 second as well. Forever Young says to Heinz Crypto, once again, give Heinz a subscribe. Pretty much says, appreciate your efforts and everyone who is making Hex content. So yeah, Hex content, other content as well. It's awesome to see everyone contributing with what they know, and just being able to give back and let other people succeed as a team as well. A Linux Master says, I got into Hex December 3rd, 2019. Staking is where it's at. It's so true. Yeah, if I didn't stake, staking does save you from yourself. So probably would have sold a lot earlier, right? Had it not been for the staking. Pro Hexer, real quick, says, subconscious mind is also about survival in the future because I don't trust the retirement funds. So my mind is the survival of me and my family and grandchildren. Definitely agree with that. Let me just make sure. And then two other comments real quick here. Isaac Ramos says, the universal laws apply to all. Believe, aspire, and receive. Thank you, Bran and Glenn. And then very last, Heinz Crypto, just because I appreciate y'all.
Yeah, thanks, Heinz.
Awesome. Was that everything here, Glenn?
Yeah, I guess we covered that one. And
that was a
again,
pretty good one.
Clean up your own nest, you guys. Let go of what you don't need. Create the
That's
best
so
you.
true, man. That's so true. So many people, like you mentioned, you'll let go of what you don't need. So many people, they do have those like fallacies of like money is the root of all evil and things like this. And, you know, throw that stuff out the freaking window, man. That's just not going to help you get to where you want to go.
Yeah. And for an example, some people in their mind, again, we're going to talk about the subconscious, but some people think, well, I need to have a big house and $1 million in the bank and a couple of boats and all this stuff and this and that. And they think that's wealth, but that's not wealth. That's just material possession. So wealth is a much more expanded thing. It involves your purpose in your life and the health of your body and your future and your past and blah, blah, blah. There's a lot to it. So, okay, let's get into it.
Awesome.
The source, the origin of wealth is both material and material. And I'm going to tell you 3 near-death event stories coming up, but we'll just start with this. So there's an inner source of being. This is non-physical essence, call it whatever you want. It emerges into the mind. And then when it hits the quantum field, there's a collective unconscious and there's a personal subconscious, right? And then that emerges up again into the conscious mind. That goes through our brain structure. Then you got a right and a left brain, logic and intuition, the balance of those. And then you have the 5 senses: seeing, feeling, hearing, believing, tasting, smelling. Okay, we predominantly live in this exteriorized world where we visual is the predominant brain aspect that we operate with because we're always looking out there. So we, the 5 senses and the brain and the mind, that all works together. Okay, and we're literally participating. Our mind is a co-participant with the universe, with this inner source of all being, to produce our reality. And then I invented something here called the 8 human qualities, which are thought, feeling, belief, desire, value, attitude, intentions, and expectations. These are aspects of the mind you can actually use and understand. Okay, how am I manifesting my reality, and how am I perceiving reality that I'm simultaneously manifesting and pulling back to me? Okay, so we're going to get into that more later in the stream here. But these 8 human qualities are the basic vehicles through which your personal energy flows out to the world. Like I'm saying, the inner source comes to you as you, flows out through you, and then it acts back upon itself as your own experiences. So if you think about it deeply, which is what I do, you're the creator, you're the creative process, and you're the creations of your own reality in a co-participation with the source. So it's important to really get that you're the creator of your life, and you have way more power than you can think. So it's just, we're in a good spot, you guys, with Hex and Pulse and Pulse X. But we got to go deeper to make sure we get to keep it and make sure that the wealth is there to enhance our spiritual experience of life, our purpose and our mission and whatever that is for you. So we can scroll down, I guess. I don't want my mind to get too far ahead of my brain here.
I know what you mean. Yeah, this real quick before you get into that. Yeah, as you and I have talked on the phone, I mean, many times. But once again, this really is a stream that people should be going back to. I mean, sometimes when you're watching a video, you might be in a certain state or might be doing something else. But if they're really valuable, and what I think this is engaging for each individual, go back to it and listen to it, a couple different times or certain segments that might have impacted you a little bit more. But what I just wanted to once again encourage people to do is write this stuff down. I mean, there's such a big difference between just hearing or watching us, both, and then actually writing it down on pen and paper and asking yourself these questions, because the eight human qualities specifically are kind of what I've asked myself, and it makes a big difference because it's different for each individual. So that's just something I wanted to encourage people with.
Yeah. So these are the 8 human qualities that I sort of invented. I didn't really invent them, but I put it together. And the interesting thing about this stuff is these are aspects of your own unconscious mind that you can actively access. Because unless you do really deep meditation, which I'll explain a little later a bit, perhaps, but your thoughts and your feelings, they're very accessible. And then when you put your attention inwardly a little bit and you start to really uncover, well, what do I believe about money? What do I believe about wealth? Are these rich people dominating the planet? Are they good or are they not so good? It's just one idea where, wealthy corporations, you might have a belief that that's not good, because these really elite wealthy people are dominating us, So we have a lot of potential conflicts of interest in our own mind. And these 8 aspects here, they're all interrelated too. So your thoughts and your feelings are related to your expectations and your values, and you have an intention. Okay, I'm going to manifest $1 million, but maybe you have beliefs in there that aren't going to fully allow that to happen, or maybe your expectations are kind of weak, and you don't have enough faith in yourself to be able to receive that wealth and then to use it effectively. Maybe you have the wealth, but you don't have you haven't put enough effort into understanding, okay, how am I going to use it to make my life better? So all these 8 human qualities here, they're all interrelated, and we might have to do a whole version 2 live stream to get more in depth with this in relation to money and wealth. But write those down, you guys, and print out the stream later. You can print out these notes. Bran has it set up for you, and start to delve into that. Okay, what do I really value about wealth? What is my real intention here? For example, intentions. What are the first 5 things I'm going to do when I get my first $500,000? I got a big end stake coming through in 5 years. Okay, what are the first 5 things I'm going to do with that wealth? See, most people haven't taken the time to identify what they're going to do with it, and that's where people get into trouble, because they haven't. There's a lot going on here. It's pretty in-depth stuff. But anyway. So Bran, you got any contributions to the topic here?
Yeah, pretty much just what you said. I mean, prepare for the thing, prepare for that now, because once again, that thing can hit you like a ton of bricks, and the last thing that you want to do are emotional decisions or make choices and decisions that you haven't really thought through very much. So it's just important, as we kind of talk about, to prepare for success, to plan for success, and that's different in all different categories. But if you can put in some of the work, then I think people are definitely going to see results.
Yeah, I just happen to have these notes here. I jotted this down a couple of weeks ago. I'll just run through them real quick. It's some ideas about the 8 human qualities. So I'm just going to read it because I have a little piece of paper written on. Okay, now a lot of these thoughts that you have, that's number 1. A lot of thoughts that go through your head, they're not even you. They're just let me show you something. Yeah, let's see. This, can you
Yep. Sorry, 1 second.
Bran? This is an example of brain speed. So you see at the top here, this is beta. This is your mind. I think I'm going to switch to this side. This is your mind all day long. Your brain speed is at 14 to 21 cycles per second. So you got thinking all day long. You couldn't stop it if you wanted to for 5 seconds. I guarantee you can't. So half of this doesn't even have any relevance to who you are. They're just thoughts that come and go. You have no control over this stuff whatsoever. Very little originality. Most of it is conditioned perception from childhood and religion, culture, society, and this stuff, right? Collective unconscious mind. The flow of your own psyche is just happening to you. Okay, so there isn't really a lot of original thinking and stuff going on. But when you get your mind, when you get your brain speed and your mind down, relaxed into the deeper levels here, see, every one of these little dots is a thought. So you're thinking. When you're in a more calm, relaxed state, there's, the thoughts come a lot slower, and there's a little more space between the thoughts. That's where pure awareness starts to emerge. That's where original thinking comes from. And what I do every morning for like an hour and a half, I go into theta. It's a deep meditative state. And you can see here, there's a thought, and then there's a big space between, and then there's another thought. And that space between thoughts is where true awareness and originality of your sovereign being actually comes to you. Okay. So, and then delta down here, you're sleeping, of course. But we go through this every morning when we wake up. We come up from sleeping through theta, and that's where you can really catch it. You're in this expanded mind state. Okay, this is where pure awareness actually exists. Okay, and then here we are right now. It's thinking, and half of this is not even really you. It's just stuff. So this is why it's really important to have an intention. Okay, I want to manifest my wealth, and I want to maintain that wealth, and I want to use it to make my life better and to make everybody else's life better, and perhaps make the world better, right? So it's important to delve into the subconscious mind aspects. And this is a specific example of this, one of my props, you guys. It's a prop to help you. So yeah, but we're going to get more into this later. I just wanted to demonstrate this visually so you guys can get a grip that this is the kind of stuff that's going on in our world. So all these 8 human qualities pertain to this. It's important stuff, and you really got to get in there to comprehend it. But these are things you can actively work with. Okay, what do I really expect about money? Okay, what am I going to do with that money when I get a $500,000 end stake? Or how am I going to use it effectively so I have a monthly income that can sustain me and make my life good and this and that, Anyway, we might have to do a whole separate live stream on the 8 human qualities. But
yeah, that's true.
Because I have a whole bunch of things here: feelings, heart-centered connection, beliefs, childhood conditioning, society, self-conditioning, desires or subconscious mind, the hierarchy of needs. One of the guys in the chat was saying, well, yeah, it's survival for me. That's the lowest hierarchy of need. That's the lower, that's the amygdala, the aspect of the brain, lizard brain that dominates survival. But then after survival, you got sex and power and food and da-da-da. And at the top of that, at the top here, up at the higher aspects of your own consciousness is self-realization. That's your life purpose. And then even higher than that, perhaps, is spiritual enlightenment. If you can imagine that, that's up there too. That's even better than self-actualization. And that's better than sex and money and power, in my opinion. Even though sex and money and power is pretty good,
It's up there. It's up there.
Yeah. So, we got values, you got attitudes, which are a combination of all your qualities. Your intentions. You have intentions all day long. I intend to take out the garbage. I intend to be a multimillionaire. I intend to take care of my body. I intend to communicate better. You haven't. So we really got to heighten our awareness of these 8 human qualities, because it helps us live a more fulfilling life. And again, once you start practicing this, your consciousness will literally expand. You will have a larger awareness in your mind than you do now, just by doing some of this stuff. It's just how it is. And I've been doing meditation my whole adult life, so I'm aware of how all this stuff works. But yeah, and your expectations, the final one there, expectations are subtle. You might think, yeah, I'm this and I'm that, and inside your mind, very subtly, you have this subtle expectations. That is the stuff that's going to manifest in your life. So these are really crucial to pay attention. And we might have to move on, otherwise I'll just keep rattling about this stuff.
Well, no, I don't think, but I know that everyone's getting tremendous value about this or with this information that we're sharing and kind of this stream. So I definitely like that. Let me cover the chat real quick, kind of, since we're doing this in certain sections. Let me just scroll up real quick and just see what everyone had to say. 1 minute here. Hex Wood says, great stream. My life is awesome says, thank you guys for covering this information. I love being here. This stream is jam-packed with value. Hex Siren, nice to see you, says, best community ever. Forever Young says, mad respect to you guys, truly trying to help others have a better mindset with wealth in every aspect. It's so true. I mean, once again, yeah, because I used to have that thought too, that like, oh, wealth is just financial and it's just, money and monetary value. And it's definitely not. There's so many other aspects like Glenn mentions with, or market value with the hierarchy of needs. Let me just scroll down real quick and just see if there was anything else. Okay, yes. So Funkmaster Hex, thank you for being here. I know it's been a minute. Says between Hex and Pulse X, or between Hex, Pulse, and Pulse X, there's a lot of money coming. Get your house in order and think of who you want to help and what you want to do when you don't have to work anymore. That's a damn good question because,
It's absolute truth. You your mind has to have a direction, and I'm going to talk about it later in the live stream. Your attention is life force, you guys. So your attention is crucial. So if you're mindlessly just putting your attention here and there because you don't have any awareness of what your subconscious mind is actually doing, your attention is going to be all over the place. And like I said, thinking, half of those thoughts aren't even yours. So again, your attention is life force. So this is why it's so crucial to get a grip on where am I putting my attention? What do I believe? And who am I believing it for? You might believe something. Well, where'd you get that belief? And who are you, where'd that come from? And why are you even believing it?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that because that is relevant to, I know, some people they're doing things for their parents or whatever in their kind of love instead of, their own self. So kind of important to have that realization. George Taco, we'll cover these real quick and get into the rest. Once again, it is going to be a 2-hour stream, everyone. So we got some more information to cover after this. George says, after what I've been through in my life, I'm ready to accept it. And thank you for sharing this, George. It's important. In this time, keep my wealth. I've been a millionaire 3 times and I've blown it on drugs. And 1 second, he's got some other stuff to say about that too. He says, I've destroyed my father and mother's wealth also. He's kind of just talking about, hey, he's ready for it now. And Glenn mentions it as well, that, you might have had a certain thing in the past and maybe you weren't ready for it then or something like that, but damn it, you're ready for it now. So I think it's important to grasp that.
Yes, sir. It is.
Okay. Well, we'll get back into some of the information here and cover some of the rest of the chat a little bit later. Thanks everyone for being here once again. Glenn, did we want to go over the rest of this?
Okay. Well, this is again, you guys. I got a bunch of props today, so let's get the ball rolling. So when we're talking about wealth, where does wealth come from? What is the source of our being? Okay. And wealth is actually an internal psychological game, believe it or not. But we're going to start with this. This is the Hex chart. So you can just switch over to this real brand. I want to just mention this real quick. This is how I position that. This is the Hex chart. Okay, so you can see on the pink and the red, and this is Hex, Ethereum, and Bitcoin. They all started at a point. That's the source. Okay, and you can see Hex is outperforming both Bitcoin and Ethereum, which have went on to be worth untold amounts of money. But Hex is on pace to outperform all those. But again, that bottom corner, that's the source. That's the source of time when Hex emerged. Okay, now I'm going to talk to you about the source of your being. Okay, what is your source of being? So I have 3 near-death experiences to tell you about real quick to convey that this is the real deal here. I got a friend, I knew him for many years. Finally, he told me, he said, Glenn, one day he was out in the river and he got sucked under the river, and he literally got the undertow sucked him in and took him down. And he was underwater for about 3 minutes, and he entered this state of bliss. It's like he died and went to heaven, and he was in this state of bliss, and it was just pure bliss. If you can even imagine what that is, the word bliss magnified by 1,000% bliss. He was there, and he was underwater. Finally, some guy, somehow they saved him and pulled him out of the water. And the first thing he said was, throw me back into the river. I want to be with that bliss. I don't want to be here in this physical world with, throw me back into that bliss. Okay, that's the source, that inner bliss stuff. And that's the source of who we are. Now, my next little story is on one of our last live streams, I was talking about my particular death experience, and a fellow Hexican reached out to me, and in the end, she told me her story. I did her Astro Cartography, and it turns out she was living on a Pluto line, and I had my near-death event on a Pluto line. She had her near-death event on a Pluto line, and this is her story because it triggered in her mind when I told her about my near-death event. So here's this is a 12-year-old girl at the time. She got sucked into this fast-moving river with an undercurrent similar to my buddy Mike. Okay, anyway, I'll make it short, but she got sucked underwater, really turbulent. She didn't know which was up or down. She was just in there being spun, Finally, she knew she had to breathe, and then the only thing that would happen when you breathe is you suck in water. And at that moment, her spirit popped out of her body. Okay, she literally, her spirit popped up, and she told me she felt like somebody grabbed her by the nape of the neck and just pulled her up and up and up and up out of her body. Okay, 12-year-old girl underwater. Then her whole life flashed before her. Every single event of her whole life, like a deck of cards, just whipped by. Okay, she was only 12, but then she became immersed in this deep blue space, and she could see forever. These are her words. I've got them written down when we talked a few days ago, and I underlined things in red that are pertinent. Okay, so she could see forever. Okay, so that's like being inside the mind of God, which I've been there. I'll talk about it in a little bit. And so she questioned, okay, where am I? She said. And then she suddenly realized that she knew everything. She knew everything. And she felt this immense love. And she sensed eternity. Okay. And then she felt like she was home and she was loved. Okay. That's like being inside God, right? The mind of God. That's just a word, God. I prefer the source of all being. But then some lady on the riverbank had her hand in the water and just caught her by the hair and pulled her out. Turns out that woman just happened to be a nurse, just happened to know CPR, and just happened to save her life right then and there on the spot. Did CPR, and then the little girl coughed up water, and that's when she was suddenly back into her body. Okay, so she was out of her body, experiencing all this stuff. Her whole life flashed before her, the bliss, the total love, could see eternity, everything. Then some nurse just magically, coincidentally, happened to be there, who knew CPR and saved her at the last possible second. Okay, so and this Hexican told me that she experienced eternal conscious awareness. So that's your source, you guys. That's the source of wealth. It's eternal conscious awareness. Okay, it's like a psychological spiritual game. The physical plane is like a psychological construct that we are living in. Okay, so it's important to understand what your subconscious mind is doing, because it's running the show. But again, we're more than just our body and mind. We're eternal spiritual awareness. Now I'm gonna tell you my story. Real quick, I had a tragic childhood. 3 houses burned down when I was before I turned 18. People died. I got in trouble with the law. I got sent to boys' work farms, group homes, finally the state institution for boys. I was a naughty little boy. And then to top it all off, I had a near-death event. I was in a horrendous motorcycle accident. I got all busted up, heart stopped. I wasn't breathing. All of a sudden, my heart stopped. I wasn't breathing. And the paramedics saved me at the last second. But here's the thing. I was in an unconscious coma for 3 days. And then I was laid in the hospital for months, but I was inside the mind of God for 3 days, not 2 or 3 minutes like the previous 2 stories. So I've written I wrote this book. It's called The Miraculous Solution: A Guide to Personal and Planetary Transformation. Okay, I wrote this, I think, 2012. So this describes dozens of mystical experiences I've had with oneness and being inside the mind of God and how that is and stuff. So I can't. But I did have a few notes here. I'll kind of give you some idea of how this was. So when I had my experience of near death, my awareness became non-local and it spread out like a wave. It was just pure awareness, no boundaries, no gaps, no separations, and no ending. There's no need for an ending. Okay, so it's like being inside the mind of God. But then since I spent days inside there, below physical reality, inside the mind of God. Okay, so then what happens? How does that work? So this inner force, the inner source of all being that we call God or whatever, it has an inner impetus to differentiate itself. It has this spontaneous inner desire to differentiate itself and manifest itself, and it does it spontaneously. And the closest word in my experience was glory. If you can imagine the most glorious state of being you can possibly imagine, and then multiply that by a couple million, is pure glory. It's the essence that manifests the whole entire universe, okay? And there's an inner knowing to this spontaneity of nature, out of which arises our entire material experience of all the universal structure and all the coherent systems that we experience physically. These are all manifested by this inner source spontaneously out of its own inner need, okay? And that's what it does. And in the end, our mind, which is why I'm talking to you about the subconscious mind, our mind is involved in the participatory co-creation with all of reality, and especially with our own little intimate experiences, that this inner power flows directly to us as us, resonates itself through us, and then acts back upon itself as our own experiences. That's what's going on. And we can participate with that, with our mind, by understanding the 8 human qualities. It's a place to start. I mean, most of you aren't going to be doing deep state meditation like I do, because it's a lot, but anyway, that's what's going on. So that's where our wealth really emerges. So, you figure you've got your material wealth and stuff, but you've also got your spiritual wealth, which is even more important. And after a while, you don't think about the money so much. You just wear wealth as a natural state of being. Okay. And it just, and the God force just provides it. When you have a need, it just shows up. Boom, there it is. So anyway, I just wanted to run that by you.
Oh, totally. No, I appreciate it. There's so many people in the chat saying, that they're getting great information out of this and absolutely loving all of it. So once again, what a jam-packed, couple hours it is. Hexographer also says, my woman saved me from death by heart attack using CPR. So,
Cool.
a lot of people have like different near-death experiences, and
Yep.
yeah, what a cool thing to be able to recite those, and hopefully other people can kind of learn from them, and maybe you can learn from them as well. Let's see what else we have here. So Completion Fail says, amazing stream. Thank you for the wealth of knowledge. We all need this. Bitfinesse says, and this is a good point, says, like all powerful weapons, if you can't disable, make safe, turn off, or control your mind, it will destroy you.
Yeah. Hey,
very good point.
If I'm not mistaken, Bitfinesse knows about meditation. So shout out to you, Bitfinesse. A lot of people talk about it, but most people really don't do it. But I think Bitfinesse does. So, shout out to Bitfinesse.
Yeah, I love that guy, man. He's definitely a wealth of knowledge and a great friend to talk to as well. Marcavelli 23 also says, attention versus perspective, the still waters underneath, even when a storm could be waging on the surface.
Yeah, that's right. The ancient meditation masters, they describe consciousness as the ocean, and the conscious mind is just the little ripples and the little waves on top of the ocean. But the subconscious mind is the whole ocean and the spiritual essence beneath it. So again, we're just living on the surface most of the time. So that's why, it's good to think a little bit more deeply about who we are and where we want to go and the state of being we want to choose for ourselves.
Exactly. Let me get back to it. I was just responding to a comment there. Okay, so let's get back into it and then remove the comment, and then let's scroll down a smidge. Okay, cool. Why pay attention?
Well, the way I look at it, we don't really get what we want, because again, like the mind is going like this and we have all these desires coming and going. We don't really get what we want. We get who we are and again, the subconscious mind generally tends to be out in front of us, manifesting the events. And then energy coalesces with other people and other energy. The energy coalesces into an event or a circumstance or an experience. So we really get who we are, but the thing about desire is we don't really get what we want. We get who we are. So our life is really about the quality of our attention, the inner dialogue that we have within ourselves and our energy patterns. And I'm going to explain some of this too in relation to wealth and handwriting analysis coming up in the stream here. But yeah, it's about the quality of our attention. That's one of the most important things, because energy is attention. Consciousness is
Mhm.
energy. These are all synonymous. Okay. So
Yep.
it's good to have these in your mind to pay attention to. So in my view of reality, real wealth is that state of being that includes your spiritual essence, like we talked about, your heart's desires. What does your heart really want? And I used to do a whole thing on just what your heart wants. Your deepest feelings, if you can tap into what are your really the deepest feelings for me in this life, and an integrated, healthy body and psyche. Okay, that's real wealth to me. It's this balance of your being and your spiritual essence and a healthy body and really feeling your desires. And then because wealth is going to help you experience the higher levels of fulfillment. And that's what it's about. It's not about a big stack of money and 3 houses and a freaking car. Who cares? It's about your experience of life. And wealth is wonderful and fabulous, but real wealth is a broader state of being, and it's a kind of an expanded perspective, let's say.
I definitely agree. Yeah, like you mentioned, if you don't know what you want, then you don't really have any direction. It's as Richard uses with the analogy of like the super fast car that, hey, it can have all of this, drive and torque and power and stuff. But if it, if it's going in the wrong direction, then it's doing more harm than good. So once again, ask yourself these questions and participate, like you mentioned about the energy and the thoughts and stuff like that. Like, thinking about it's one thing, but then writing it down is another. And maybe you have more answers that you didn't when you write it down versus just thinking about it.
Yes, sir. So probably should keep rolling here, Bran.
Yep. Let's get to it.
So these are just
ask yourself.
Just some quick questions. Ask yourself if you got conflicting or contradictory beliefs about money. I pretty much guarantee that there are some in there. Do you have any inner conflicts of being able to accept that money and being wealthy? And of course, you're going to say, no, of course I'm going to accept wealth. But again, you got to really get in there and make sure that you really do have true, deep inner beliefs about that. Now, here's one that's kind of interesting. How do we have self-imposed restrictions about money? Ask yourself that. What are, okay, and what does wealth truly mean in real terms? And identify this stuff and write it down, because that's exteriorizing your consciousness. Otherwise, like I said, your thoughts are just going to go like this, and you have a thought, what does wealth truly mean to me? And you'll think, well, it means this. And then 10 seconds later, you never get that thought again. So it's good to objectify or to elucidate from within yourself and illuminate what the real meaning of your subconscious mind is. Because that helps you. That helps you evolve yourself. And it saves you a lot of trouble. So anyway, just questions to ask yourself. And again, you guys can print this stuff out and look at this again, because there's a lot of content here. So we better rock on, Bran.
Let's do it. Mirror, mirror on the wall, what is wealth after all?
Yeah, see, that's just for fun, you guys, because it's what's that thing? The Wizard of Oz, But I got some props here for you guys. So what I want you to do, if this is the fun part, if there is such a thing. Write down. I'm gonna show you some props, and in their relation to wealth and money. Okay, and I want you to write down if you have a positive or a negative response, or if it's something that makes you uncomfortable or uncomfortable. Write down your own reactions to these things that I'm going to share with you, because it's going to help you identify some of these unconscious aspects that exist inside your 8 human qualities. So here we go. Let's just have some fun. Okay. Now, this is $1,000 in silver coins. Okay. Now, is that money or wealth? Or what kind of a reaction do you even have to that? Some people think, well, that's nothing. That's just $1,000. But if you have a solar flare or an EMT attack or a couple of nuclear power plants melt down and there's no electricity for 6 months, you're damn right this is money and wealth, But again, it's your perception of what you guys believe. It's got nothing to do with me. Now here's another prop. This, ladies and gentlemen, is $1 million fiat currency. You've probably never seen one of these before. It's $1 million bill. Okay, it's paper. It's fiat currency. Okay, is that money? Is that wealth? What kind of emotional reaction or response did you have to that? Or did that make you uncomfortable? Comfortable? What's in it for you? Okay, Now here's the next prop. This is a picture of me with enough gold to travel around the world. Okay. Is that wealth? If you've got enough gold to travel around the world and be free, well, to me, that's definitely wealth. I like that. You know, that is wealth. But what does it mean to you? Some of you people think, well, gold isn't worth anything more. It's all digital now. You know, these people say, gold and silver, they're no damn good. You know, they can't, you know, they're outdated, blah, blah, blah. So what if we get a solar flare and half of the planet goes absolutely to zero in 2 seconds flat? And then the reason I mention that, it's probably never going to happen, but believe me, it was just like about 6 weeks ago, 2 months ago, because I monitor a lot of different stuff, you guys. I try to pay attention. So there was NASA, they got these satellites that they're out in space and they can observe the sun. So just about 6 weeks ago, there was a massive solar flare that it was huge, but you know, Earth is here, the sun is here, and the solar flare went the other way. If that would have been our way, it probably, you know, could have wiped out half of the planet just like that. And in fact, we did have one in 1878, had a little solar flare, wiped out the electricity, but you know, you know, we didn't need electricity back then as much, so no big deal. But gold and silver, are they wealth, money? What does it mean to you? Write down your responses. Now here's another one. Next prop. Happy retirement. Okay. See, this is wealth to me. I'm 64 years old. I'm going to retire. This is happy retirement. I love swimming in the ocean. Okay. Is that wealth? Right? Okay. Well, yeah, it probably is wealth, you know. At least you got to have wealth to, you know, fly to Costa Rica and hang out on the beach, right? Let me see. Do I have any other props? Bran, take me back to the screen there. I had a couple of other little things I wanted to talk about.
1 second.
In relation to wealth. Yeah, scroll down a little bit.
1 second. Perfect.
Oh,
there we go.
Okay, here's another aspect of wealth I want you guys to think about because it's pertinent to us Hexicans. So I was responding to Matt Crypto Coffee on one of his streams, and I said, "Hey, Matt, you know, maybe I'll see you at the Millionaires Club, you know, just kind of joking around." And some guy responded to me personally later, and he said, "Lucky you." Right here, he says, "Lucky you." And this is exactly the way the guy wrote it. English is not his first language, and he's from some other country. He says, "Lucky you. I am not rich, so only have small sack amounts like $100 Pulse, $200 PulseX, and a $200 555 stake. Well, I will never be a millionaire, but given how things are in my country, this will likely be my pension fund." So what is your response to that one, you guys? Okay, next one is Bran already mentioned this, but I was in Costco several years back, and I was driving out, and here's a young Mexican guy, Hispanic. You know, I'm not sure if he was Hispanic for sure, and you know, one leg, and he's standing there on crutches with one leg. You know, so of course I give the guy some money. You know, so what does wealth mean? What if this guy got his leg back? All of a sudden he could walk again. Would he be a wealthy human being? Well, I submit that he would really feel wealthy if that happened. So here's another part about appreciating your wealth. If you got it, you have to appreciate that stuff every day and be grateful and thankful and use it to make the world a better place, because it's just an amazing thing. So my last prop is this. I was listening to Conrad Zen a couple of weeks ago, and he said, "Yeah, I think I'm going to invent a Zen coin. I think it'd be really popular, right?" So here's my thing. This is the Glenn coin. See, I got my own coin here, you guys. It's the Glenn coin, just for fun, but you know, throw that in there because I got it hanging on my wall in front of me to reinforce my mind through external and internal perception. Hey, I'm wealthy, you know. So there's a lot of different ways you accept and reinforce your state of being as being wealthy, and you know, of course, being healthy is a big priority. So that's so true. Like you mentioned, I mean, because
I mean, health is not only physical, which obviously is important, but I would say, I mean, almost more important is, yeah, the mental health and stuff like that. So, definitely focus on all of those things, not just one thing. It's a rounding thing. The other thing I wanted to say, and CB Do says appreciation is key. That's pretty much the whole point right there. Yeah. Appreciation definitely is key. But one thing I did want to mention to the online response from the other country, lucky you, I'm not rich, so I only have small sack amounts like $100 pulse, $200 pulse X, and a $200 555 stake or Cuatro Cinco stake. It's funny because if you think about the way that Hex is designed and some of these other cryptocurrencies are designed, I mean, those separate categories alone, that $100 in pulse after 10,000x, a million, 200 in pulse X, 2 million, etc. What happens when this guy that has these limiting beliefs online, what happens when he does attain these milestones in the future that he never thought he would have? What happens then? Because most people, they always think of like binary, like, oh, I'll never have this. But then you have to ask yourself the opposite. Like, well, what if you do actually get that and have that? Because just that one frame of thinking is going to screw you over for if you actually, and when you actually attain it, you're not going to know what to do with it.
Yeah, if this guy's got a $200 5555 stake, that's a $500,000 right there. And then the Pulse X, that's another 500,000, or who knows. So the guy actually probably will be a millionaire if he can wait, 10 years. So he is limiting himself, like you said, Bran. But again, another aspect of this is most of you folks listening to this, you live in America or you live in a Western country, and you probably have way more invested than this guy. So we just have to appreciate where we're at. Just the fact that we're even involved in Hex and Pulse X is, we're just so fortunate. So we really got to focus on being grateful and knowing from our own state of being that yes, we are actually millionaires. So we don't block ourselves from it like this guy might, since he just said, I will never be a millionaire. So his mind, subconsciously, he might be blocking himself from a millionaire, like Bran elucidated there. Okay. So it's really important to get a grip on your own inner dialogue. If you're telling yourself, I'll never be a millionaire, well, you probably won't be then, it's your life. Yeah. If you're dictating to the universe, I'm never going to be a millionaire, your mind is co-participating with the source to create that. So you gotta snap out of it and let some of this old belief pattern stuff go and really move into the state of being, which is the full-on spiritual power, and doing good with it,
Well, like if or like whenever in the future you do attain those things, Crypto Heartbeat has like the compassion cartel, which is kind of like it's not like a commitment or anything by like someone else controlling another thing, but it's an idea of like, hey, people, I guess, pledging or saying that they want to help other people and give back to other people and contribute in certain ways that can help others grow once they're, financially able and things like that. And it's just kind of nice to ask yourself those kinds of questions sometimes versus just focusing just on yourself. I mean, Funding Jim talks about this, and I don't know who the quote's from, but it's like the fastest way to get what you want is to help other people get what they want type of deal. And so sometimes if you don't just focus on you, you might have a little bit better direction or kind of way to go, I guess.
Yep. Well, we better roll on here, Bran. We got a lot to cover. We're gonna have to speed it up a little bit, probably.
It's true. We gotta, we will be, talking more obviously in the future streams on similar stuff. So you're right. We'll condense it.
Hey, you guys, we're gonna be like Fork and Uniswap. We're gonna fork this original consciousness wealth thing into version 2. So stay tuned.
Hell yeah, man.
That's just for fun. Version 2.
Exactly.
I like that. So, okay, you guys, now I'm an expert handwriting analyst. I first started in 1979. I have certificates in basic and advanced handwriting analysis. I've done court cases for, criminals, business owners, literally thousands of people over, like since 1979, amazing stuff, just amazing, like deep meditation. No, nobody knows about it. They don't care enough about it and nobody writes so much. But I'm going to run through this real quick and you'll see the point in a minute. Now, the lower zone of writing, that's what we're going to talk about. It's the subconscious mind, the past, and the imagination. That's the money zone in handwriting. And I'm going to explain this. It's the subconscious mind. Okay. I'll put this up. Let's
1 second. Let me
show
zoom
this
in.
screen real quick. Okay, the upper zone in handwriting is the intellect and the spiritual aspects of that are represented by your handwriting. The middle zone, that represents your daily activities, your social skills and how you communicate and your daily generalized habit patterns. Now the lower zone here, that is the subconscious mind, and that's where money and sexuality and imagination exist. It also represents the past. So again, it's the lower zone of handwriting we're going to be talking about. So here's another example. We're using money. Okay, the upper zone here is again, intellect and spiritual perception. The middle zone is daily waking state activity in life. Now, the lower zone represents the subconscious mind. And you see that big loop over here? That describes, and I'm going to show you images of this. But this lower zone represents the subconscious mind. It's the basis for all the content that emerges up into your conscious mind. It contains all your past experiences from the womb and all your conditioning, everything you've ever experienced, it's in there, okay? And in the lower zone, now it represents imagination and unconscious drives. And this includes sexuality, but it's a little different story because it's a different aspect of handwriting to describe it. So let me give you some examples of how people's unconscious minds experience money and how it affects you. I got some examples. Okay. This one, I think I'll do it this way. This, again, the lower zone here, that's the unconscious and imagination and the past. And whys are specifically related to money. So the way this particular lower aspect of the why is written, that demonstrates good money balance and imagination. This one down here is excessive. This is holding a bag of money, but it's excessive. Okay, I know one lady who's a multimillionaire. She had these giant subconscious mind patterns like this, and it came out in her handwriting, and she was a multimillionaire. Okay, but she also had a really high level of intellect. So you can't just make a big why and think, okay, I'm now going to be a multimillionaire, because the rest of your being isn't ready for that. But anyway, these are two examples of money and how that stuff exists in people's subconscious mind. So you got to ask yourself, okay, what does my subconscious mind say about money, right? Okay, here's some more. I'll go through these kind of quick. Now here's a why. This one here, it's an example of a person who spends all their money. They got empty pockets and they don't feel fulfilled at all with money, and their subconscious mind isn't giving them ideas on how to make more money. Okay, now this next one here, you see how it goes down here? Okay, that means these are people who are disappointed with money. Their unconscious mind is disappointed with money and they're discouraged. So they experience it as discouragement, and they experience it as thoughts. Well, shit, I don't have enough money. I'm never going to have enough money. I'm not good with money. Nobody ever gave me money. They're just discouraged. I got this shitty little job. I don't make enough money. So this exists in people's subconscious mind. Don't kid yourself. I've seen this thousands of times. Okay, here's some more. This why here, this is a person who is good with money. They're determined. They're resolute. But you can only have one of these per page. If you have a bunch of them, that just means you're a loner and maybe you don't do money as well as you would like. But again, these are very unique patterns in the subconscious mind. I've seen it all. Now here, this is a why. This indicates a person who's a self-starter, takes initiative, and he's kind of a go-getter. He makes things happen. Like Mikhail Gorbachev, that used to be a president of Russia, used to make these, people who are salesmen have whys like this. This is their subconscious mind emerging into their conscious mind and causing behavior patterns and literally experiences that come through as events and circumstances and conditions. Okay. Now, getting a little more interesting here. This one, this is a person who is avoiding responsibility. See, it goes back to this why is going back to the past. Okay, so this person might be a hoarder, or they're avoiding responsibility or something. It's just a pattern in their mind, and emerges as their behavior patterns in life. This one here, this is a greedy, materialistic person, could be involved in a lawsuit. It's their subconscious mind is like grasping to hold on to this money because, you know, there might be enough if they spend it, or they don't want to give it to anybody because they're selfish, whatever. It's just, again, patterns in the subconscious mind that humans experience. And there's lots of this stuff. That's why I'm encouraging you guys to look deeper into your 8 human qualities, figure out what's in your own mind, and go from there. Now, this one here at the top here, this is like, you can see there's no imagination in the lower zone. You know, this is like a daddy's girl, or she's lazy, or he's lazy. There's no imagination in there. So you're just not going to get really have the success you want. Now, this one's interesting. This is conflict. Or let's say you're a man and you have a wife and she's henpecking you, and there's a conflict in here. But it's also inhibition, no gratification, not accessing past experience. Okay, so if this is in your handwriting, then there's going to be conflict in there in relation to money and projecting it to your future. If you get $1 million and you have this going on in your subconscious mind, there's going to be conflict in your life. I guarantee you. It's just how it is. So these are just 10 examples, you guys, of the power of the subconscious mind and how this stuff ends up manifesting automatically as your experience. So, I just thought I'd share that because I'm demonstrating the power of your subconscious mind, and I'm encouraging you to expand yourself into being an original thinker, starting to think for yourself, starting to think a lot more deeply, maybe get into meditation if that's something you might be inclined to do. Or just take your 8 human qualities and start to look at, okay, what does my unconscious mind really believe? Because a lot of the stuff going on in your mind is just superficial. It just is. Okay. So anyway, that's enough of that section. Bran?
Sorry about that. Dogs were barking in the background. Dude, I totally agree. It's absolutely amazing. And once again, not many other streams are kind of covering this information. And I think, as I've said before, that everyone kind of shares different things that they're skilled at, that they've been studying for decades and years. And Bidfinesse says, Glenn Carlson has my full permission to analyze my handwriting using the sample pinned to my Twitter if he wishes. This is insanely fascinating. I know when you initially told me about that, it would be kind of cool to get some analysis done on that. Because once again, what are you doing subconsciously that, handwriting analysis like yourself has kind of said that could be, an attribute?
Yeah, that's the thing, you guys. We're a spirit working with a mind in a body, and we got this externalized experience that we manifest through our physical senses and all this stuff that's going on. But it's just worth our time to really look into this and make some sense of it as best we can. We're not rocket scientists here, but wherever you put your attention, that's where you're going to go. So if you tell yourself, look, I'm going to put my attention into being really clear about who I am in relation to money and wealth, and what my own inner relationship is to that stuff, and how I'm going to use it to make my life better, serve me rather than give me trouble in the future. If you're putting your attention on there, well, that's what you're going to get. But you got to actively do it. You got to actively say, look, I love being wealthy. I can't wait, but I'm going to handle it well so that I use it to the best advantage to create fulfillment and possibly this higher destiny that might be available. Because with your attitude of mind, you guys, there's like the quantum field, you can see a particle or you can see a wave. The mind of the human can choose what it wants to see, and then it will appear. So you have an attitude. Your attitude affects the outcome of your experience. So what I'm saying you can do is, with your attitude, you can look at it with wealth and money, and you can choose the high side of a probable event. You can, like if you have a mind that goes out, it could be a probable event that's good or a probable event that's not so good. But with an attitude that is beneficial for you, that attitude can influence the quantum field so that it manifests a higher level of probability for yourself. One that's beneficial, one that's satisfying, and one that's fulfilling. And eventually maybe you can get some of that highest destiny for yourself, which is if you're a human being and you got a mind and a spirit, well, that's something worth putting your attention on. What's my highest destiny that I could possibly live? What is that? I don't give a shit about your house or your Lamborghini. I'm talking about your spiritual essence of being and how you're going to make your life the best it possibly can be. That's what wealth should be about. I get rattling, you guys. I apologize, but just sharing ourselves here.
Yeah, don't apologize. And everyone is once again getting something different from this. And one thing I did want to encourage again, similar to what Seeker 3589 is saying, is just the act of writing things like this down and then reviewing your notes will massively help you retain this awesome content. Once again, I did repeat this, or I did mention this at the beginning of the stream, but this Google Drive document that Glenn created, that we're sharing now, that is available for everyone in the description. So you can watch this video later. If you're not participating in the live stream, you can print it off, things like that. And once again, it does make a huge difference when you participate in multiple different things, not just listening, but also doing as well. Grounded in Hex says this is so interesting. Chega says this is okay. Like telling how the price of Pulse will be. Hex Siren says, Glenn, you are a gem. Thank you much for your time, Bran. This is awesome. Absolutely loving this content. The content live says, get them real quick. We'll cover the rest in this real quick.
I see Hex Live all over the place supporting the streams.
Yeah, shout out to Hex Live. There's more going on. Let's see. There's more going on than that what we think or even think about. Reality is ineffable. And then also CB Do says, I'm already wealthy, broke, but wealthy in life, family, health, etc. The money when it comes will be great, but the wealth isn't the money.
Cool.
Awesome. Cool. Let's get back to it. Whoops. 1 second. Let me scroll down a smidge. Okay. Yeah, we got about 14 more minutes. Okay. Your state of being as it applies to being wealthy.
Well, we can probably whip through some of this, but I think we've already covered it. But money is exchange of energy. Wealthy is a state of being. And what you want to do is get it to the point where you just feel naturally wealthy, and the universe just shows up and gives you what you need when the time is right. It's just how it works. So you can use your 8 qualities, you guys. Just look into that stuff, put some attention on it. And what will happen is you'll become aware of some of these beliefs you have in there. And once you become aware of them, they might just dissipate and be gone. Some other ones you might have to work with to let go. But by doing that, what it will do is it will cause things to start moving that will otherwise not be moving. Okay. That's really a crucial point. So yeah, let's go down to the next one because I really want to tell this story.
Yep.
Lots of good stories. So this is about state of being. I want to give you guys an example of what state of being is, because it's not words you hear every day. People usually say, oh, yeah, it's your state of mind. No, we're talking state of being. It's a different thing. So let me explain this. This is a client of mine a few years ago. This guy's name is Sean. He's an actor in downtown New York City. He wanted to get this leading role as the Shylock in a Shakespeare Broadway play. Okay. Now you can imagine a Shylock is like this money-lending, devious creature or something, right? So my advice to Sean was, let me back up. So imagine you're an actor in New York, and most of these people, they're going to walk into the audition room in front of the directors and stuff, and they're going to say, hey, how you doing? Yeah, I've been doing this for 10 years, blah, blah, blah. And then you flip the switch and you go into the pretending you're demonstrating your acting skills being the Shylock. No, my advice to Sean was get into the state of being the Shylock before you even enter the audition room. So get your facial structure, you resonate your whole state of being like, I am the Shylock. I am this creature in this Shakespeare play. And when you walk in that room, you completely and fully embody that state of being. You don't even have to say nothing. And the directors go, holy shit, that is the Shylock. There he is. They instantly know that is you. That's a state of being. Okay. And this guy did this and he got the part. His first big role, downtown Broadway, New York City. That's the power of state of being. So there you have it.
That's awesome. I love it, man. It's true. It's definitely true.
And you can apply it to being wealthy. So here you do. You have to aware the feeling of being wealthy as naturally as you wear clothes. It has to feel natural. You are wealthy, allowing yourself to receive it. You just got to let it flow through you too. You receive it and let it flow. Receiving is every bit as important as giving. You got to receive it and let it flow. It's a state of being and a state of mind, and it has to permeate your whole body and your mind and your feelings. Okay. It's just natural to you, like you're wearing clothes. That's how you embody the state of being of wealth.
I wanted to shout out to Will real quick. Says, dang it, got here late. I guess I'll have to hit the restream. Love what you do, Bran. Awesome. Thank you, Will, for that. Nice to see all the Hexicans and everyone in chat. And, that's the beautiful thing about the streams or just the videos in general is that everyone can kind of watch on their own time. So thanks again for being here and for the super chat and for the nice words. And once again, the link to the actual slide presentation that we're doing here is in the description for free. So let me scroll down and let's cover the last 10 minutes of the 2-hour stream. Okay.
Well, yeah, I guess we already covered this. When you're actually wealthy and you're resonating that as a state of being, you don't have to think about it. A lot of I know people, they're so wealthy, they don't think about money. They just get up in the morning and they're going, what am I inspired to do? What motivates me today? They don't think about money. But I did want to mention one thing that's important. As an example of myself, considering the 8 human qualities, you have beliefs and patterns of energy in there, and some of them are benefiting you. And mine happens to be numbers. I hate numbers. I don't like the little suckers, even though I've been a carpenter for many years and I'm really good at it. I don't like to add. I can't subtract. If I don't use a calculator, I'm worthless, And you might think, well, what's your problem there, Glenn? But the thing is, that's something I have to embrace within myself. I got to get better at numbers and start paying attention to those little buggers because they're really important, And everybody's different. I know a guy who's a world-class metaphysical teacher. He wrote like eight books or 10 books, and he can't even spell. He admitted he can't spell, not even simple words. But he did manage to write 8 books, and he's a world-class teacher, even though he can't spell. So, we all got our weird little limitations, but we got to get in there and get real with ourselves, which is a big part about being sovereign, and being an original thinker. You got to get in there and think, okay, who am I? Wow, Oh, there. Hey, my lady friend, Hex Chart just commented. She's proving that she watched me, so that's cool. Thanks, Zoya. Appreciate that.
Hell yeah, man. Let me scroll down here to some of these examples, because once again, like you mentioned, when we were on the phone, you could have come up with 100 of these different examples, but we're just going to go through 10 today that kind of explain.
Yeah, what these are, you guys, these are what I call decrees to the universe. These are not affirmations going, well, look, I'm abundant, affluent, and wealthy, and I hope I get there someday, or these are resonating from your power. You're decreeing this stuff to the universe because your mind is a co-participant with the source, manifesting your experience. So you say, look, I am abundant, affluent, and wealthy. I accept it. I'm good enough. I'm worth it, and I deserve it. These have to be core beliefs, or that money will not. You might get it, but it'll leave you real quick, or you might not even get it if you have any of these. If you don't feel you're worth it and you deserve it, like one of the guys mentioned earlier. So these you should print these out because there's 12 of them, and what you want to do when you're looking at your life and your subconscious mind, you want to look at your past, you want to look at your present, and you want to set things up in your future because you're investing in your future. So when you read through these, they cover the whole area. Like number 2, I've transcended my core issues so that negative effects have very little impact upon me. So you do want to transcend some of your core issues, okay? Because if you don't, there will be negative effects in your future. I guarantee you. Okay. So these are just 12 varieties of decrees you can make to the universe that will help you cover your past, present, and future. So you deserve to be wealthy. You're experiencing large amounts of money coming right through the internet, right into my bank account. Okay, you want to be real clear of what am I doing in this reality? Well, we're in Hex, so number 4, yeah, we're manifesting large amounts of money through the internet right into my bank account. You got to get very specific in your participation with the universe. You want to be clear on how you direct your attention in your mind because this is what's going to happen. Okay, so you can say stuff like, yeah, I'm experiencing amazing good fortune, extraordinary good luck. I tell myself this all the time. Love it. You have to accept financial wealth in whatever form it appears too, because the money might come in a different form, so you just open up to the universe. You say, hey, I'm wealthy, and however it comes to me, that's fine, So any more but down below that, Bran? Let me see. So
yeah. Let me scroll down.
You're probably busy responding to people.
No, not at all.
But here's another one, number 8. I'm now experiencing wealth also in terms of my inner foundational security of my spiritual identity, my personal relationships, and my home life. Wealth is in those things. So you want to get your mind and direct your attention toward what you want, because your attention is energy. So direct it, and you want to appreciate everything, and in the end, personally for me, I want to be spiritually and financially free and use those resources to manifest my highest destiny. Okay. And then in the end, you got to be grateful and appreciative all the time for what you have right now. Even if it's meager, even if you don't like it, you got to appreciate it, because then the universe will give you more to appreciate. Just how it works, So anyway, those are just some things for you guys to think about. So when you're just contemplating your mind and how you are in your state of being, you've got to look at your past and your present and your future. Just like in the handwriting analysis examples, there's all kind of stuff in there you're not aware of yet. And so you've got to take this expanded view. I know this is a lot, to more than we can, handle at one time, but just food for thought, you guys, food for thought.
Yeah, it's 1,000% true. I mean, and once again, for someone like yourself that's kind of been doing this and been on this path for, decades. Yeah, it is kind of, it might seem like a lot at once and whatnot, but just start somewhere, pick up the pen and paper, right? And and just start with something, because then you'll kind of move on from there. It's the hardest thing for the diet or for the gym, right? Is getting to the gym first, right? But then you kind of already made that first step, and then anything from there is kind of progress. So definitely appreciate all of that information, Glenn. It's something that, once again, is going to help a lot of the Hexicans, because I think it's just inevitable that, Richard becomes the wealthiest person in the world, and the Hexicans become, like, I shouldn't say like the ruling class, but yeah, you're going to have a lot of power with a lot of these resources. And so what better than not only having money, but having knowledge and wisdom too.
Yeah. Us Hexicans can be a source of spiritual power to make the world better in the ways that we can, small or large,
1,000%.
Probably better get scrolling.
Yeah, I think we're wrapping up. Let's see. Let's scroll down. Okay.
So here's a wrap up decree. I am wealth consciousness. I'm abundant, affluent, financially free, and wealthy. I appreciate that. I'm grateful for my millionaire lifestyle and freedom. So you're appreciative in the present. You're demonstrating that you're already wealthy, and you're grateful for your millionaire lifestyle in the future. It's kind of a nice little wrap up. You could just learn to memorize that and have it running through your mind in the background all day long. Hey, I'm grateful for my millionaire lifestyle and freedom. I like it. But anyway,
it's so true. Yeah, you have to know what you want before you can actually, live that and attain that and achieve that.
Well, if your mind doesn't have a direction, who knows where you're going to end up? Somebody will manipulate you into mediocrity before you can blink.
That's true.
So yeah, we got to wrap it up. Assets and wealth protection, not financial advice, but Kinetics and RG3 and some of these guys, they're working with Mountain Crypto Advisors to develop trusts and different things. I had a trust in 1995, didn't really do anything with it, but you want to pay attention to protecting your assets and your wealth. It's crucial, because 98% of the attorneys on the planet live in America. They're crawling the place. They're just there to take from you. That's all they do. Okay. So a limited liability company is also really good. I've had one of those for my Venus Love Factor business. Asset protection. You can get an LLC. That'll be, some of you, maybe that's as far as you can get. Well, that's something. Others can go to Puerto Rico, live there 6 months a year, save 40% of your capital gain tax, instead of giving it to the criminals who run in the government, because you could use it better than they do. So that's another option.
Guaranteed.
One of my favorites is citizenship by investment, which nobody talks about because most people don't know or don't care, one or the other. There's 5 Caribbean countries where you can literally buy alternative citizenship and passports. Costs you about $160,000, maybe $190,000 for a whole family. You literally get a citizenship and the passports. And when you have wealth with crypto, you can live anywhere. You don't have to live on some little island in the Caribbean. You can go live in Georgia or Singapore, wherever you want. but again, the governments, they're trying to restrict our freedom. So you have to, if by choice some of you can handle that, it's an option. So anyway.
Well, it's so true. I mean, that's amazing, Glenn. I mean, what a wealth of knowledge Hexicans are in trying to help everyone be the best version of themselves. And like you mentioned, even if one option is not for one person, well, hey, that's fine, but it might be for another person. So at least having the ideas are amazing for people to consider, because once again, if you're not in that situation currently, more than likely, as long as you kind of keep persisting through the ups and downs, it'll be something that happens in the future. And so the last thing that you want to do is have something happen to you and then it knock you off your feet and not be prepared for it. So prepare for that stuff, even if you don't qualify for it now or don't think that you'll ever have that. It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So
sure.
Well, cool, man. Well,
we can wrap up one more little section at the bottom, which are references.
Okay. Let me see.
I'll make
perfect.
It quick.
Perfect.
Out of hundreds of different things I could recommend, here's 3 sources. One is called Manifesting Wealth Consciousness by a guy named Bruce Music. He has some very high professional. He wrote a hit song when he lived in South Africa, so he really knows how to create what you would call it, high quality audios. So he has some high quality audios where you can just put on your headphones, you get them right on your computer, and they will lead you through a 20-minute wealth consciousness manifesting guided relaxation technique. It's fantastic. And he'll lead you into a garden and you'll see that there's weeds in the garden, and you're in your mind, you're in this meditation guided, and you pull the weeds out. And what you're doing is you're pulling out the beliefs and the crap that's going to prevent you from having money and wealth. And there's other ones, like you're flowing down this river and there's, gemstones and diamonds, and you're on this flow of wealth, and by listening, it's really very high professional quality done, and it will help you. It's part of the reason I'm here today, having manifested potential millions in Hex wealth, is because I did all this stuff and I've been doing it for a while. I think you get 3 or 4 of them for $67. But he's got more, where one is called constant concentration. For you folks who really want to learn how to meditate or get into a deeper state and experience some of that deeper awareness coming into your conscious mind consciously, you can do that. He's got one called constant concentration. You put on your headphones and you sit there for 20 minutes and it makes a sound and it relaxes your whole body and mind, and you will experience that deeper awareness emerging into your mind, and you'll actually be able to think, because there'll be a big space between thoughts. Here's a thought, and then there's a big space where you can actually think, and then there's another thought. It's really powerful stuff. And then he's got another one, which I did when I first did my first million manifesting techniques. It's called Sleep Your Way to the Top. So before you go to bed at night, you put these headphones in and you're laying there and you got your computer next to your bed, and you just drift off to sleep listening to this thing called the Sleeping Your Way to the Top. And it's all about being healthy. Specifically, being healthy and wealthy are the 2 main aspects. So every night you drift off to sleep being healthy and wealthy, and that sinks into your subconscious mind. You guys, this is 100% solid stuff, and it's really, really good. So yeah, go there online, search for Bruce Music, Manifesting Wealth. And the second one, it's a book here. You don't have to look at it really bad, but it's called Busting Loose from the Money Game. Okay. Now it talks about the inner, kind of like the inner aspects of spirituality and a lot of the stuff I've been talking about. And this guy, Robert Scheinfeld, he knows what he's talking about. He created a software company and sold it for $177 million. Okay. Plus he's a spiritual guy like me. He does meditation all the time, and that's where he's coming from. But this will help you comprehend how to bust loose from this exteriorized money game, so you really can experience that state where you being wealthy is just like It's just like you put on your clothes in the morning and, you don't even think about it. You are wealthy, So it's a really, really solid, it's probably the only book. And I've read shitloads of them for many, 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 40 years. I've been reading these books about money. That's probably the best one I could recommend. And then the last one here is called The Sovereign Individual. I first read this in about 2006 or 7, maybe. It's all about the sovereign individual and what that is in the digital age, And there's a lot of talk about sovereignty these days, and the governments are clamping down on us and putting restrictions and forcing injections on people and all this stuff. Well, just by reading this book, it's about 1.5 inches thick, by the way, but just by reading the book, what it does, it will get your attention and your mind focused on being more of the sovereign individual that you already are, and it brings up stuff in your mind. Hey, I really do want to be a sovereign individual, and it's helped me tremendously. And I haven't thought about it in many years, but it just popped up recently. So yeah, those are 3 highly recommended resources, and that's all, folks. Just like the Bugs Bunny cartoon. That's all, folks.
I love it, man. Where's the carrot when you need one? Let me just do one last thing. Thank you so much, Glenn, for for once again doing these streams with me and sharing your information. I think not only myself has grown and gained a lot and benefited a lot, but I mean, obviously the people here as well. So I just wanted to once again, reaffirm that, hey, if people want to get in contact with Glenn, he does have, things that can kind of help you kind of go to the next step. So definitely check out his website, bestlivinglocations.com.
I almost never promote myself, you guys. I just don't do it. It's pathetic. I really should. But I can really help you understand where you're living and why you're experiencing what you're experiencing. Okay. And if you want to move to a different place, I can tell you where to go. You got a 10 times, 100 times better chance of being successful, depending on whatever it is. But most people want success. So some areas are just totally stay away from because it's not going to help you, and other places you will be almost guaranteed that you're at least in a positive energy where you can manifest a success. You see those little lines on there? That's how this stuff comes out. This was invented by a genius, a master astrologist who figured out a way to map the nature of your psyche and put it onto and transfer that all the psychological aspects of the human psyche, which, Dr. Carl Jung basically helped popularize the inner archetypes of the psyche through astrology. And it's brilliant, amazing stuff that gets poo-pooed in our culture, but it's some of the most profound stuff you can ever experience. And I can help you understand that, which I've done with many, many people. And it's flawless. It's one of the most flawless things I've ever experienced. And I've finally got myself into a really good position. I've been all over the world, and I finally got myself into a really good position. And here I am online streaming a brand about being wealthy. Okay, I wouldn't be doing this if I wasn't in a really positive Astro Cartography energy zone. So it's really, really something you should pay attention to if you want to expand beyond what you already think you know. And the other one is handwriting. I'm an expert at the stuff, and if you want to know what's in your mind and how it works, you can hit me up, call me, and we can talk about it. But it's effort. I got to do effort to all this stuff, so I can't do it for free.
Totally, of course, yeah. That's what we're doing here with this, which is like, hey, already providing enough value, and then obviously, yeah, if other stuff takes more time, then people can choose to contact you and work it out from there. So I really appreciate that, because once again, 2 hours of your time, my time, the whole chat's time, it's definitely much appreciated.
Well, thanks all you guys for participating. There weren't any ladies in here today that I could see besides my lady friend Hexopatra. Her name is.
Hey, you never know who's not commenting.
That's true. You don't know, and some of these cryptic names people have, you don't really know. But
exactly. No, I appreciate it, Glenn. I guess yeah, I'll wrap it up here. Thank you everyone for tuning in, that continues to tune in. Myself and Glenn, obviously we've got a whole bunch to educate and to inform and to keep providing value and keep talking about. So thanks everyone for being here. I'm gonna do the outro now. Later, everyone.
Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like, be sure to share, be sure to comment. Say heck. Heck yeah. Say heck, heck. Heck yeah. Say heck. Say heck yeah. Say heck. Stake that 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 heck. Every time I look up, price went up. I go to the store, come back, price went up. Every time I look up, price went up. No matter what I do, price is still going up. Hell yeah. Ching, ching, motherfucker. Ching, ching. I am not a boat. Ching, ching, motherfucker. I just keep hitting jackpot after motherfucking jackpot. We still jackpot, bitch.
Thank you, Richard, for creating and founding the most amazing and disruptive financial technology cryptocurrency ever. Thank you, sir. And nice streams, Mr. BallietBran.